Hi, this is Tisha with Firehouse Design, and we're going to cover a new topic today. It is resolution and DPI. Now, we get this question quite a bit. What is high resolution and DPI? DPI stands for dots per inch. And you can also use that as pixels per inch. So sometimes you might see PPI as well. So here's a photo that's a decent resolution image that we're zooming up on. And you can see everything begins to be pixels as you get closer and closer and closer. Now, most of us are pretty familiar with the idea of high resolution these days. A high resolution TV is nice and crisp and clear. High resolution monitors, that sort of thing. You're used to learning about high resolution. But sometimes it gets confusing. How do you get a high-res image? And when you get so close like this, when you see all those pixels, how does that relate to DPI and PPI? So I've made a little diagram here to help you out to learn about how that works. So let's take a look. So let's say that we have a 1-inch box by 1 inch. And within that, because that is dots per inch, within that box we have 8 pixels wide or dots wide and 8 tall. 8 times 8, 64. So 64 dots are in this inch, all right? So now let's say we want to make that image larger, and we're going to go to press, and instead of it being 1 inch by 1 inch, it really needs to be 2 inch by 2 inch. So let's scroll over here. Remember, we only have 64 dots. That's the most dots that were taken in our photograph. So it's still 64, but the dots are now bigger. You're going to be able to see those dots with your eyes more likely than you were in the 1 inch by 1 inch, because if we go back there and show 1 inch by 1 inch, now there's only 16 dots per inch. That's a very low resolution. The naked eye will definitely be able to see those dots. So you've just taken those dots and stretched them larger, and so now you're going to be able to see them better, see the dots, and they won't run together and create that nice clean image like you have before. So when pictures get blown up too large, you start seeing the dots. So let's take a look here at image size in Photoshop. This is an important skill to master when you're working with images in Photoshop and size. So this image is a little over 13 by 17.7 at 72 pixels per inch or dots per inch. So that means in that area, in each inch, there are 72 dots. So let's say I want this to be 300 dots per inch, because that's really what images should be for print. So we're going to make this 300. And wait, what happened right up here? The width and the height changed. Now, at 300 DPI, this image is only 3.2 by 4.2. It's much smaller because there's only so many dots to work with. So these work inversely. When this number goes up, size goes down. When size goes up, the resolution goes down. So it's back to math. Math and art work together all the time. 72 gets you a great big picture. You could use that easily on a PowerPoint slide. But when you go to press, you really need to keep that right around 3 by 4 inches for it to look nice and sharp and clear. If you tried to blow that up to an 8.5 by 11, it would only be 112 dots, and you're really going to be able to see the dots per inch there because it's too low. So now you're probably saying to me, well, what about this little button right down here? I've seen it before. It says resample. I can click this, and look, I'll just type in 300, and now suddenly 13 by 17, 300 dots per inch, right? It's magic. Well, but look over here at your picture. Does that look nice and crisp and clean? Not at all. Because what you've done is just thrown extra dots in there. Photoshop cannot make your photo sharper, crisper, with more detail than it originally had. You're just dumping dots in. So this is not a good option. You may have to fudge things just a little here and there at times, but you never want to really resample unless you're going down in size. For instance, let's say this image was 13 by 17. But for my PowerPoint, I really only need it oh, let's say 8 inches tall. So I'm going to put 8 in here, and now it's 6 by 8 at 72, and my size went down, so I don't have quite as big of a file to work with. That's really the only reason why you're doing that, is you're trying to downsize your files. You can go down and decrease the number of pixels. You cannot add to pixels and add quality. Doesn't work that way. You've got to start with the quality to begin with. So another question that we get quite a bit is, how do I send you a high-res image from my phone? And is my phone good enough resolution to actually take photos and send them for print? Yes, most of the time these days, as long as your settings are right on your iPhones, iPhones take phenomenal photos. You don't have to have a DSLR to take the photos. So what you want to do is choose the photo from your phone. And once you have that selected, you're going to go down here to share it and choose mail. That's the best way to do that. Send that to the recipient, put a subject line in there as well. It'll have a better chance of going through. And then here's the really important part. After you hit send, choose actual size. Send the big file. You may only be able to send 1 photo at a time or 2 or 3 photos at a time. That's okay. The other service that you can use is Dropbox. You should see it there too, or you can get the free Dropbox app, and it comes with a little bit of free storage. And you can send files to us via Dropbox if you have too many to send one at a time. So that's the end of the lesson today on resolution and DPI. Feel free to call any of us here at Firehouse Design if you need more information.